Hello everyone. Welcome to this another video of Spring Rest playlist. I'm Abhishek Verma, and in today's video, we are going to see how we should handle the exceptions in our controller layer. Till now, if you remember, we used to provide try-catch block in the controller layer also. But trust me, that's not a good practice. Instead, we need to make usage of the controller advice. Now, what is that? We are going to see in the today's video. So without wasting any more time, let's directly get started and see how the things are going to look like.
So now we are in the IDE, and before we start with our today's demo, first of all, let's do a quick recap what we did in the last demo. For this, I'll go to demo 6 and I'll directly go to the UML diagram. Here, let me increase the size a bit and then I can move somewhere here. So first of all, you see we are having a demo class which simply contains the main method and nothing much. Then we have the controller class. So last time we were having the three methods here. We will soon go in the details of those methods. Then from the controller layer, we are moving towards the service layer where we have the business logic. And from the service layer, we are moving towards the repository layer. Now in the repository layer, we wrote two custom methods and it was implemented using Spring Data JPA. Then besides this, if we come a bit towards the left side, you see we are having two exceptions here, which are two custom exceptions. Then we are also having the mapper class. So this was the mapper interface and we were making usage of the map struct. Then besides this, as you can see, that in order to return the data to the user, or we can say to return the data as well as to accept the data from the postman, we were making of the DTO classes. So we were having owner DTO, which was having one-on-one relationship with the pet DTO. Under pet DTO, we were having domestic pet DTO and wild pet DTO. We were also making usage of the enums as gender and pet type. Then in the entity classes, we were having the base class. For base, we were not having any table directly. Then we were having the owner, we were having the pet, again one-on-one relationship. Under pet, we were having domestic pet and the wild pet. Then in all these classes and everywhere, we were also making usage of the lombok, because of which you will see that this diagram looks complex, but in reality, our coding became easier. So this is what we did in the last one. And if I go to this controller class, so you see that in the last demo, we were having only three methods in the controller layer. So first one was the find owner, where we were making usage of the path variable. And I told you that generally we make usage of path variable when we directly want to find something with the help of, let's say, primary key, or let's say by name or something directly, which we are always for sure that this is a resource which we want to get. Then it is used. Beside this, we also learned another way was the request param. Now request param is generally used when you want to have a search criteria basically. So there are, let's say, multiple things. So on the Google you are searching something, or on the Amazon also there are so many filters on the basis of which you want to search something. So then we go for the request param. In the request param, we make usage of the question marks and the ampersand in the URL. But here the URL is clean. Then we also learned the third way in the last demo, which was the matrix variable. Now matrix variable is generally used when we have some pair kind of a thing. So it can be a city and state, like in our case it was the thing. Otherwise, you can say it can be a combination of latitude and longitude, something like this. But we also learned that this matrix variable is quite complex thing and generally not used much nowadays. Nowadays, either people go for the path variable or they go for the request param. Hence, in our upcoming demos also, our focus is going to be on path variable and request param. Now let's switch back to the current demo, and for this I'll go to this demo number 7. Again, in demo number 7, almost all other classes are going to remain same. I will only show you those classes, those methods where we are going to make any change. So for this, I'll directly go to this controller, and in controller you see what I have done is I have basically added more methods also, which we have either learned in demo 6, demo 5, demo 4, demo 3, demo 2, as well as demo 1. So in short, what I want to say you is that if you are directly watching this video, then trust me, it is not a good starting point. You should be watching from the demo 1 and even before that, the theoretical videos of this particular playlist. So let's see here. So here you can see that first of all, we are having a method to save the owner, which is post mapping, accepting a request body. it was not returning any kind of exception. Then the next one was the find owner. Just now we saw it was accepting a path variable and returning a owner DTO object. In case there is an exception, we were throwing the message. Then there was another one was update pet details, and here we were just updating the pet name with the help of this pet DTO. So it was making usage of path variable as well as request body, and it was a patch mapping. Then again in delete mapping, we were accepting the path variable. And in the last one, this is same like the previous one which I shown you in this demo 6 also, that here we were making usage of the request param to search for all the pets who were born between these two particular dates. So these are the 5 methods which we are going to have in today's demo. Now here one common thing which you see is that in all these methods, what I'm basically doing, I'm trying to invoke a method of the service layer. In case that particular method works fine, I'm returning the response. That can be an empty response. It can be some with a particular body also. It can be with a particular ID also. But in case we are not getting a successful response, then we are returning a particular exception. And for returning that particular exception, what I'm doing is I'm having almost a similar try catch block in all these methods. So except this save owner, you see in all other methods, I'm having a try and catch block. And within the catch block, I'm saying that, okay, now we are going to return the message. The status code can be not found or conflict depending on our requirements. So this is something which we were doing here. But the point is that this is not a good way of handling the exceptions. And this is something which we should not do in the controller layer. Yeah. So today let's learn the right way. So for this, what I'll do is, first of all, from this find owner only, I will be deleting the try and catch block. So let me just simply remove it something like this. And now what I will be doing is that I will be saying here, add throws declaration, because it's a simple Java rule. Either you handle the exception in that method itself or throw it to the caller. Yeah. So here we are doing, and as of now, let's do only for the find owner. I will show you some differences and then we will see what can be done for the other methods also. Now the point is that now since from this method, we are only returning the owner DTO, because earlier there was a confusion, because when success, we were returning the owner DTO, when failure, we were returning a string. But now it is for sure that we are always returning owner DTO only. Exception is thrown. It is not returned, it will be thrown this time. So here this time I can directly write it as owner DTO. And that is as per the good practices. We should not be making usage of these question marks. Yeah. So now let's see how it is going to work. For this, I'll go here and let me just increase this something like this. And now let's execute the demo. So here if we go, so let's see whether it has started or not. So yeah, it is starting and I have already set the username and password. So hence it is working fine. We can see it has started. So let me just clear it a bit so that we can see that whenever some success response is coming or in case some exception is coming, then what will happen in the console. Now let's go to this postman. I have already made demo number 7 here. And almost everything is same which you have seen in the last demo. So that's why nothing much to show. So first of all, let me show you for this delete owner that how the things are going to work here. Okay. So here there is some ID as 73. Let's see what happens for this one. So currently you see that when this particular ID is not available. So in that case, we are making here 404 not found. This is customized by us, as well as in the message we are saying can't find owner with owner ID 73. So this is the exception message which we were passing from the service layer, and hence we were handling it calmly and then we were returning the particular string. So this is what we are doing here. This is not a case that we are throwing the exception. We were returning the string message along with the code 404 not found. Now let's try the same thing in the find owner. So here, if we try the same thing, you see that in the delete owner, it was just a raw string and 404 not found. But in the find owner, this time it is a JSON. So for the exception also, we can have a JSON object. And this time this JSON object is not returned by me. I never wrote something like this. Instead, this is being returned by our server, you can see. Because in reality, what happened? When we invoked this URL basically went into this particular line. From here, it invoked the service class, and there that particular method was invoked. Now since owner was not available, so we were throwing the exception. But the point is, when we were throwing the exception, then who will be handling it? So when you are going to throw the exception as it is from the controller layer, it will be returning it to the JVM, we can say. So it will provide this exception to the JVM. Now JVM will say that, okay, what I will do. So JVM will return the same exception to your server, to your internal Tomcat server. Now Tomcat server will say that, okay, the best what I can do is I can make it as a JSON response, something like this, because I always say by default it is a JSON only. So what it adds is, it adds something like a timestamp. It makes a status. So this status is same as this one, 500. Then this is the error message, same as this one, internal server error. And it also says that for this path, there is a particular error. So this is what it is going to do. Now you tell me which one looks more better when some exception occurs. Do you find this JSON response is looking more better and informative, or do you find a message like this is more better? If you will ask me, I will say that in terms of content, this one is more better, because now it is clearly saying that what has happened. We were trying to ask for the ID 73 and it was not found. And here also it is very clear. But if you ask me in the terms of structure, and later on in case, let's say some front-end developer is invoking this and he or she may get this kind of JSON response. So they will be directly copying pasting this particular part and giving it to the Java backend developer. And the person will be able to identify what was the cause or something. Okay, at what time it happened, what was the status, what was the error, what was the path, and everything can be identified. But the point is, here we don't know the exact reason, although we just know the path. Yeah. So the point is, structure wise, this is good, but the content wise, this is good. And also status code wise, this is good. So now the question comes is it possible that we as a Java developer can return this kind of exception response instead of making usage of the default one? So this is the default one which Spring REST is going to provide you, but we can customize it and then we can make usage of these kind of messages also, as well as status code. So let's see how to do it. For this, first of all, let me just simply stop it. And what I will be doing is that here also, let me just drag a bit something like this. Now the number one thing is that this time, instead of simply throwing the exception, what I need to do is I need to provide a JSON response. Now, JSON response you can only provide when you will be having that kind of a structure. Otherwise, it's not possible. So I will go in DTO, and here I'm going to create a new class, something like this. And here I will be saying error DTO. Now it is going to look in this particular way. Yeah. So here you see, this is my error DTO. Now within the error DTO, now it is my choice whatever I wish to return. So the number one thing which I wish to return is a particular message. So the message is going to be a string here, and I will be saying that, okay, this is the message. The next thing which I want to return is the status code. Okay, so it's a good practice that here also you return the status code. Okay, you will say that, okay, Abhishek, it's already mentioned on the top, then why here? The point is, from the top you are not going to copy paste, but from this particular thing it can be easily copy pasted also. Yeah. So hence it's a good practice. Then the next thing is that always, now you will see that, okay, status code was 400, status code was 500. So then you will see somewhere that, okay, what is the meaning of this particular status code? So instead of this, what if that, this particular HTTP status is the message, and here now what we are going to provide is that is going to be the code here. So this status is going to be the code. And when I say HTTP status, then it is the complete message that it is not found, conflict, or internal server error, or something like this. So as a good practice, we should be providing both, and it is completely your choice, whatever you wish to provide. If you say, no, I don't like something like this, then don't add it. It's as simple as that. Okay. But the point is, it's not your decision. It's the decision of your management. It should be the decision of your architect. You can't alone decide that, okay, what you wish to return. You need to sit with the front-end developer also. You need to sit with your managers also. And then you need to decide what you are going to return from this. Yeah. So as of now, since I'm the only person who has to decide, so I'm deciding I will be saying it as string, which is a message. I will be saying HTTP status error, then integer status, and a local date and time. So these are all the things which I wish to add. Now, after this, obviously since we need to have some getter methods, setter methods and all these things also, so I will again make usage of lombok. I'll go here, and what I'll do is I will be copying this particular part, and here I'm going to provide it something like this as it is. Yeah, now I need getter setup, I need toString, I don't need this equals and hash code, so let me simply remove it and say Control Shift O, Control Shift F, and let's say save. Yep, so this is what I want now. Okay, so this error DTO is ready for us. Now the point is that from here should we return the error DTO? The answer is no. We should not be returning the error DTO directly from here. Otherwise, the point is same only. What we were doing earlier, we were returning a simple line. Now you will say that, okay, should we return the error DTO from here? The answer is yes. If you wish, you can return the error DTO from here also. Okay, let's see how it can be done. First of all, so for this, or like why to see, I mean, let me show you the direct way, the best particular way. So the best way is, instead of writing the same thing again and again here, what we can do is we can make one more class. Okay, so let me make it something like this, and then I will tell you what is the main benefit of creating that particular thing. So I will be creating a new class, and I'm going to call it as exception controller advice. Okay, so what it is going to do is it is going to handle all your exceptions. Okay, so this is the point. Now here what I will do is, first of all, I'm going to annotate it with @rest, and then I'm going to say rest controller advice. Now you see the difference. On this controller class, I was saying @rest controller, that this is going to handle the things whenever a request will come to me. But then this class will only handle the things when there is some kind of exception thrown from your controller layer. You will say, what if the exception is thrown from the service layer? So service layer will be obviously called from your controller layer only. So exception will come here first, and then from here the exception is going to be thrown, like this one. So last time what was happening, your exception was directly thrown to the JVM, or you can say to the server. But this time when you are going to throw the exception, then instead of directly going to the server or JVM, this will be caught into this particular class. That is your advice. Yeah? Just because of this particular annotation. Then now after it comes here, then what to do? So obviously we need to create some method here. So here I will be saying something like this, public, and here let me say it as response entity, because from here also we should be returning it as response entity only as a general practice. Otherwise you won't be getting all those things like status code and something. Okay, so that's the point. And here I will be saying it as error DTO. So this is something which we are going to return here. And now you can provide any name to that particular method. Obviously it should be readable. So I will be making it something like this, owner, and then I'm going to say not found, and then I'm going to say exception in this particular way, guys. Yeah. And now I will be saying it like this. Yeah. Then after this, from here what to do? Obviously we need to create the object for this. So here I will be saying error DTO in this particular way, and here let me say it like this, error DTO, and here we are going to make usage of the builder pattern. Yeah, so this is the way. Now why we are able to make usage of this builder pattern? Because we have already annotated the classes with the lombok, so that's why it is possible. Yeah, and now let me just make usage of this particular thing. I mean, it's always good to copy paste from your code. Some people feel that copy pasting is wrong, but the point is, till the point you know what you are copying and what you are pasting, it's always right here. But now I guess it is wrong somewhere here. Yeah, so I need to just paste it here. Okay, my bad. And let me, okay, I guess sometimes we should be writing it also. That should be more better. Yeah, so now it looks something like this. So what we are doing here, we are having a method. On this method, we are saying handle owner not found exception. And within this, we are creating an object of error DTO. And then we are saying it something like this. Now, obviously, since it is an error DTO, so I should be returning it as not found. So here I will be using something like this. Okay, so that I have customized. Now the point is we need to provide the body for this error DTO. Yeah. So here we were having 4 methods. The first one was the message. Then after the message, the next one was your error. So that we need to provide. After the error, the next one was my status code. So that we need to provide. And after the status code, the last one was the timestamp. So that we need to provide. Now out of these, this timestamp is very simple. So that is nothing but current date and time. So I will be making usage of local date and time. And in case you have not watched or you are not making usage of these Java 8 date and time API, then it's a wrong practice. Okay, so you should be making usage of it. I have a separate video on date and time, so I hope you should be watching it. I'll provide the link somewhere on the bottom. Yeah. Then in this particular error, what to provide here, we should be providing the same error which we will be mentioning on the top. Okay, so again it should be looking something like this only. Like if I show you here, so like here you see whatever they are mentioning on the top, here also it should be same. Like see, this is the thing which they are using, so obviously this is the good practice. Okay, so for this what I'll do is I will copy from here and I will be pasting into this particular error. And in the status, what I'm going to do is after I will be mentioning something like this, and here I will be saying value, so that I get that particular number here. Now the thing is that here also you are mentioning, here also you are mentioning. So here instead of mentioning explicitly, the best practice so that you never make any kind of mistake is that you just do something like this. Okay, so here you can just simply say get error, because here obviously you are setting as not found. So automatically when you are saying here, instead of writing explicitly, you can simply say get error, so that always these are in sync with each other. Now the point is, what about this message? So here I want to return the message which was thrown into this particular exception. So here some message was also thrown into this owner not found exception, and that is visible in the service layer. So you see that in the service layer, we were saying that owner not found exception and some message we were throwing. So that message came to the controller. Now it is coming to this particular point. So that I wish to do. Yeah. Now the point is that just by mentioning this name, it is not going to handle your owner not found exception. That is not possible. Okay, you still need to do a bit more hard work. The first hard work which you guys need to do is that here you need to say that okay, this is going to be your exception handler, because otherwise it can be any other method also. Okay, like you are not going to call it explicitly, so it can be any method. So here you need to say exception handler. This annotation will tell the whole class is going to handle the exception, and this annotation on the method level will tell that okay, this method is going to handle the exception. Okay, now after this, what kind of exception it is going to handle, so that we need to mention here. So here I will be saying that it is going to handle owner not found exception. So obviously this is going to look something like this, and then post that I will what I will be doing is I will be saying here exception, and here I'm going to say get message, Control Shift O, and this is how it is going to look like. So you see, overall in this class, we were making 3 main things. First of all, class level annotation to tell that this class is going to be the advice class for your controller. Whenever your controller layer is going to throw any kind of exception, then it will be handled automatically by this particular class. Then we are saying that here we are having this method. Method name can be anything. It's your choice. From the method, if you say I want to return string, that is also fine. It is your choice. Okay. As a good practice, we are making it as a response entity, but this is important. So you are saying that this is going to handle something. Otherwise, maybe here it can be just your sysout, or it can be anything. Yeah, who cares? And then here we are explicitly saying it will handle only these kind of exceptions. It is only for this purpose, not for anything else. Yeah. And now you will say that, okay, do we need to make any change here? The answer is no. Here you don't need to write anything. Like it's that simple. Just assume that just now this Champions Trophy final has completed and India has won the Champions Trophy. So let me take that example, that this is like here we are having the batsman. The job of batsman is to just hit the ball. Now, if it is a success, it will cross the boundary. If it is not a success, then it will land somewhere within the ground only. And then this particular method is like a fielder who is standing within the ground. Okay. And the job of this particular fielder is to handle that particular catch. So you are telling it that which kind of catch you need to target. Yeah. So this is how it is going to look. And now let me just execute, and yeah, let's see. And do let me know in the comments whether you have watched the match or not. I'm recording it after watching it, and very soon with the help of this local date and time I will be able to tell you. So here if we go, let's see if it has started or not. And yeah, so here we can see it has started. Let me just simply clear it again. Let's go here. So let's again do it for delete owner once. So for delete owner, again you see we are still getting this string and this thing, yeah. But for the find owner, okay, this time if I will execute, you see now it is 9th of March and the time is around 10:30, yeah. So, and this is how it is going to look like. Yeah, isn't it nice? Here on top it says 404 not found. In the message, it is my message which I want to return. The error code is also nice, status is also nice, and it is, guys, completely your choice. You will say, okay, Abhishek, you didn't mention the path here. It's my choice. I don't want to mention, okay. I will simply tell the backend developer, or let's say if I'm the front end developer, I will tell the backend developer that, okay, I tried to invoke this particular URL and this was the message. So it can be done in that way. Yeah, it is completely as per the architecture which you are going to follow. Yeah, but the point is here you can mention whatever you wish. So that was the number one thing. Now after this, now once this is clear, and here the part is, here you will always keep on getting the latest timestamp. Yeah, so this is the point. Now you will say, Abhishek, what if it works fine? Okay, so let's say I make it as 72. In that case, what is going to happen? So if you will say 72, then in that case, let's try to see it step by step. So this time what happened, you invoke this owner ID, it invoked the service layer. From the service layer, it invoked the repository layer. From there, you got the owner DT object and you are returning it with OK. So that came here. But in case the moment you made it as 73, now for 73 also same thing happened. It invoked the service layer. There it wasn't found, exception was thrown. Now that exception was not handled here and it was thrown from here also. Now, since this time you created the controller advice with this particular annotation, this method, and it says that, okay, now I'm there to handle these kind of exceptions. Hence, it handled this exception for you. Yeah. Now, since it handled the exception, then it says that, okay, instead of returning a string, we are going to return this error data. So this is the point, guys. Yeah. Now, after this, what else can be done? Let me again stop the code. Now, the benefit of doing this is that now you don't need to mention the try catch block in all the methods. Okay. Now you see earlier, like currently also my code is of like 80 lines. Yeah. Now let's see the magic. So as of now, it was only working for the find owner. Now let's start making the changes for others also. So I'll remove it from here and I'm going to remove it from here. And now what I will be saying is I will say again for this also add the throws thing. Yeah. And here we are not doing anything. So here let me change it to as void because we are not going to do anything. Yeah. Then let's do the same thing here also. So let me remove it, and here also let me remove it, and here also let's say add the throws declaration, and here I'm going to say void here. Yeah. And automatically now it is 72 lines. Yeah. For this also, let's do the same thing. Here, let me remove it. Here also, let me remove this particular part. And here, let's say add the throws declaration. And here what we need to return is, we need to return the complete list. So instead of question mark, now let's make it like this. Okay, Control Shift O and Control Shift F. Now you see, now this is just of 69 lines. Yeah, that's the magic here, guys. This is not only going to, like, you may say that, okay, you are adding one more class just for a small purpose, but you see the overall benefit of this particular class. Now it is making your controller class looks more simple. Okay. And then if you just say that, okay, I want to make a change, you just need to make a change in one place. You don't need to make changes in all the methods one by one. That is the magic here, guys. Yeah. Now let's again execute it and see how this is going to work for others also. So demo number 7, and for this save owner, this was not in the picture. Okay, for save owner, this kind of exception can't happen. So hence nothing was it. Yeah. So for find owner, we have already seen already. Now let's see for the delete owner also. So for delete owner also, you see this one is perfectly working fine. If I go to this update pad details, and for this 73, so for this one is also it is working completely fine. Save owner, it is not going to work because there we are not throwing anything. And for this find owners by pet, so when my data is correct, it is working fine. And here data can be wrong when from this layer, so if I go here, so you see it is going to throw the exception when the start date is after the end date. So what I will do is I will go here in the end date and I will make year as 2000. Okay, and now let me execute it again. So here you see I'm getting a bit different kind of JSON. Okay, so it's not the same which I mentioned here. So this is actually the default JSON only. So what do you think, where I have made a mistake? Okay, because for this also I remember I have added it here. So if I go to the controller, so here also everything is good, and like what can be the mistake? So tell me in the comments if you have identified the mistake. Why for this last method this our custom JSON is not working, or our controller advice is not working? The reason that why for this last one our controller advice is not working is because although from here you are saying that I will throw, but then it will go here and this will say that okay, I'm ready to handle for your controller layer or for the controller class, but within that we are having a method, and this method says I was asked to handle only the owner not found exception. This time you are throwing validation exception. So this is not my job to handle this particular thing. Okay, so now it is not my job, so I will directly return it to the server, and then server is going to provide you the default one. So simple things can be done. So I will just copy and paste it here, and here I will be just changing the name, and here I'm going to say validation, something like this. Yeah, and here, I mean, these names are your choice, whatever you wish to provide here. The only point is that it should be good names, and here this time the only thing which I need to change here is that in the argument I will be saying validation exception, and that's it. Order can be anything, it doesn't matter, this needs to be first, this needs to be second or something. Okay, it can be anything. And here since we are saying validation, so for this we decided to return conflict, and here also let me say this conflict this particular time. Yeah, and you see why I told you that here it is better to say get error, because you just need to make changes, and this one is theme copy pasted. Okay, so this is how it is going to work. And now let me just simply execute it again. So again it has started. Yeah, so we just need to create a class once, and then it can satisfy all your requirements, and that is the best part, guys. So let me just clear it, this part. Let's again try for this one, so that let's see the existing things should not crash because of a new change. Okay, so let's try for this one also. So this time you see it is working perfectly fine. Okay, here it says error conflict status 409 matches the same, timestamp is there, and in the message it is much more clear that start date cannot be after the end date. Okay, so this is how it is going to work. Now let me show you one more interesting thing. Okay, what I will do is I will go to the save owner, and here you see the, I mean, what do you think, what is the main purpose here? You will say it can never throw any kind of exception. What if I tell you that this also can throw some kind of exception? Okay, you will say, okay Abhishek, what it can do? So what if here instead of post someone says get? Then what do you think what will happen? Will this work? Tell me in the comments, will it work or not? Because in the controller we are saying that it should be post mapping only, but when you are saying get mapping with request body, there was nothing. So when you will click send this time, then again this kind of things are going to happen. It will say method not allowed. Now you will say that okay, in your this save owner you never mentioned anywhere like method not found exception or method not allowed exception. The answer is, although we are not mentioning, this is something Spring REST is doing by default. Whenever it sees that okay, you are returning or you are providing the wrong type here, then it will always tell you method not allowed here. Yeah, so this is the point. But now the question comes is that it's not consistent. Okay, because now you see that whenever this kind of thing will happen for a UI developer, the UI developer will come directly to you, and the person will say that okay, sometimes I get these kind of variables in the JSON, and sometimes I get this kind of variables in the JSON. Can't you make it consistent? It's your responsibility. Okay, although you will tell him that okay, it's your fault that you are giving the wrong type here, but still it's a responsibility to make things consistent. So for this also, what we will do is we will first of all go here, and you see what it is trying to print here. So it says default handler exception resolver. So this time what happens is that your exception controller advice. So here there is no way to handle that exception. And the exception is HTTP request method not supported exception. So this is the exception name. So what we will do is we will copy any of our existing ones, and here let me provide it something like this, and here I will be copying the complete thing something like this. Yeah, and here I'm going to provide into this particular way, and yeah, I will be just saying Control Shift O. And here also, if you wish, you can provide some better names. So here I will be saying method, and then I'm going to say method not allowed. Yeah, so it will handle all the method not allowed exception. Your method name should be good. Yeah, and whenever it is something like this, so let's keep the status as 405 only, method not allowed. So from here, let me see if we are able to identify it. Method not allowed, where it is. Yeah, here it goes, method not allowed. And here also let me just copy this one, and here also let me paste it something like this, and let's save it. Yeah, now let's execute the things again. So you see, first of all, we made the handlers for our custom exception, and now we are able to create the handler for the exception which was not created by us, but basically it was created by Spring REST. Okay, now if we will do the same thing, then instead of getting the default JSON, we are getting our custom one, 405 method not allowed, and messages request method get is not supported. So this message is by default coming from your, what we can say, Spring REST only, and it is looking fine. So you will say, okay, Abhishek, this is something good. And if you feel it is something good, then what I suggest you is that you should subscribe to this channel, and please share it with your friends, guys. I mean, still, trust me, we are not getting enough views. Yeah, so I mean, I'm not happy with the number of views which we are getting, because here it needs so much amount of hard work. Yeah, so now, but all this still we need to work, and at least I will be making this playlist, as I said. Okay, next playlist, I'm not sure if we will just keep on getting these number of less views only. So again, I have made it a post one, and now let me just try to add this data. Or what I will do is that here, let's add the data. So yeah, it is working fine. You see 201 created, ID 73. And if we go here, this time this ID 73 is created. So you can see we are getting this data. Okay. Now what I will do is that in this mobile number, I will be saying one more digit here. Yeah? So now my mobile number is of 10 digit. Now what do you think what will happen? So here, let's see what it is going to do is, let me just click on this send. So now again, it is going to throw the exception. And this time it says internal server error. But the point is, again, this is the default one only, not made by us. Now you will say that, okay, from where this came? Okay. So if you will just see something like this, the only option is you need to go to your logs, and here you need to see what happened. Okay. And I always say, what's the thumb rule of checking? Start from the last line, and there see what is the first class which was coded by you. So I never coded these class, these, so these, and where it is, I never coded any of these things. Okay, so here it says SQL exception and something like this, and directly this is the one. So yeah, it says data truncation, data too long, something like this. So what can be the reason? The reason here is because you see, when I was providing the data to this particular one save owner, so the control went inside this particular implementation. Here we were saying that, okay, owner mapper job is to convert owner DTO to owner. It did, and then it invoked this particular repository method save. Okay, so this, it has opened the implementation from JP repository. So this was invoked, but in the entity, if you see in the owner, I have mentioned that your mobile number needs to be unique. It can't be null. It needs to be unique, and the length can be 10 only. So this is the maximum length possible. So this length is directly implemented to your database. So in your database, the length of this column is 10 only. But here, if you see, you are actually providing 11 digits. Okay, so you can count, and you are providing 11. So when something like this happens, it says internal server error. So these kind of things you need to identify on your own. And same, it says data too long for the column mobile number at row number 1. Okay. So this is how it is going to work. So for this also, you will say that, okay, Abhishek, can we do something? The answer is yes, we can do something better at least. Okay. So I won't tell you that how to handle it in a better way as of now, but at least a simple hack I will provide you. So we will just copy the last one again, And here what I will do is we just need to create one more exception handler. Okay, now you will say that, okay, Abhishek, this way, how many exception handlers we are going to create? We are getting bored now. Okay, I mean, we don't want to make so many exception handlers. So one simple rule is you can just say exception here. Okay, I mean, that's the simplest thing, guys, which you can do in these kind of things. Okay, so here what we did is I will say this one is going to handle owner not found only. This will handle validation only. This will handle request method not supported only. And besides this, if anything else will happen, we will say exception. And it will handle all the generic exceptions. Okay. And here let's provide something more generic. So here what we can do is here let's use the same thing only, internal server error. And let me copy this particular thing from here. Let me just paste it here, something like this, and let's save it. Yep. So now let's do, and now let's execute the same thing again. Okay, so this is something you can do. Now let's see what it is going to do with us. Okay, so we are again here. Let's try with this wrong data only. So now this time you see we are getting something like this. Okay, so error is internal server error, status is this, timestamp is this, and the message is this something big. It says could not execute, and I guess this is much more readable than the previous one. It says could not execute statement, data truncation, data too long. So whatever was there, it is showing you here. Okay, now you will tell me, Abhishek, is it a good practice? Because see, isn't it a security risk? Let's say some hacker is going to call this particular API, and just by making a small mistake here, the hacker will come to know your table name, the hacker will come to know all your column names as it is, and so many things about your database. The answer is yes. First of all, this is not a right practice. Okay, so this is not a right thing. So one small thing which you can do here is that whenever you say there is some kind of generic exceptions, then instead of returning the exact get message as it is, you can say some general hard-coded message as something went wrong, or you can say go through the documentation, contact the backend developer, or something like this you can provide here. Don't provide the exact message in these kind of things. That is number one rule. Another thing is, in these kind of situations, the best part is, why don't we, validate the input itself? So instead of directly calling the repository layer and trying to save the data there, the number one thing is we should be validating the input. But that we will do in the next video. Yep. So that is the main thing, guys. As of now, you can survive with this. If you say no, we don't like this message, hardcode it. So please hardcode it on your own. That is something which I believe you guys, my learners, can do on their own also. Okay, and in the next video we will see that how to validate the input data. Besides this, just some small things which I wish to tell you here is that, first of all, what if there are multiple controller classes? Okay, so in that case, what to do? So in case there are multiple controller classes, and you say that for one particular class, one exception handler, for another controller class, another exception advice I wish to do. Okay, then what you can do is you can go here, and here you can mention directly that this is the advice for which package. Okay, so here you can clearly mention for which package or for which class this is going to be your advice. Okay, so it's not mandatory that you make a single advice class only. You can make multiple advice class, one advice class per your controller. That also can be done. Although as a general practice, I would suggest to create a single advice class only. That is number one thing which you can do. Second thing is that here you see, here whatever you are going to mention here, only that kind of exception it is going to handle. Now this one was also, very specific exception. This is also very specific. This is also very specific. But this exception is such a big thing. Now you will say that, okay, this exception is such a big thing. Okay, what if I want to mention two methods with something like this? So I'm just trying to giving you an example here. Okay, so you can do something into this particular way. Okay, so there can be this method, there can be this method, and here let's just say you want to return something like this. Okay, bad request. That is also possible. Now you will say that, okay, for some of the exceptions which are a part of generic exception, I want to say internal server error. For some of them, I want to say bad request. Then how to do? Okay, so here you can say a generic one, but then on this particular level, so here you can exactly mention for which kind of exception. Okay, so here also it can be done. So here, let's say what I will do is, here I can say, let's say something like this, arithmetic. Okay, why isn't it working? So I will say arithmetic, and okay, this one is not working, so let me just give it a try. Let me copy from here, or what I will do is I will go inside this exception handler, and I will be saying here, yeah, exception, this is the one which we need to make usage of. Okay, so and what it says, it should be a class. Okay, no worries. What we are going to do here is, here we will be saying exception, and then here let's say something like this, arithmetic and exception, and this is the one, arithmetic exception, control shift O. Don't we have this arithmetic exception? What happened? Am I mistaking? Am I creating any kind of mistake? Okay, now it looks better. Okay, so you need to make usage of the dot class, and then this name is not needed. The point is, it needs to be ending with the dot class. So what we are trying to say here is that this method can also handle any kind of exception. This also can handle any kind of exception. This will provide internal server error. This will say bad request. But out of any kind, it will be making usage of arithmetic exception only. So that is the purpose. Okay. You will say, okay, Abhishek, then why don't you directly write it something like this? Isn't it more better instead of mentioning it here? The answer is, it is more better, but there is one more point thing here also. So let's say there is another exception I will be using, input output exception, IO exception. I hope this will work. Okay, so this is the one. Okay, so I guess I have again made a mistake, and yeah, then when we have multiple, so I guess we should be making usage of something like this, IO exception, or what is the mistake I'm doing again? I guess, okay, this is, I mean, this looks okay, no worries, but you just try to understand my point. So what I'm trying to say here is that here you are saying exception. So out of so many exceptions, if it is arithmetic or IO, then this one will be invoked. And if it is any other generic exception, then this one will be invoked. So this is also one of the ways, because in your arguments, you can't have two different types of exception. But here you can have any number of exceptions. Okay, so that is something extra which you can do. As of now, this is not a part, and you just see, I mean, that's just a small mistake which I'm just doing here. Okay, but otherwise it is going to work fine. And this is how this will work fine. And I hope you learned something new. If yes, please like the video, share it with your friends, and do subscribe the channel. See you in the next video, where we are going to see how to do input data validation. Bye bye.